Every damn time. You know, every time I go into these books, I tell myself, I am beyond this. I mean, yeah, the Shadowhunters verse is basically my personal crack, and I accept this. But I always tell myself I'm no longer the kind of person who can be moved by this. And yet, every damn time... But good or bad screaming? That's the coin I'm kinda always flipping. In this case, it's screaming that's good. I mean, the reasoning is pretty tragic, so that's not good, but like, it shows that I was invested, so that's a good thing. Okay, I was kind of invested. As usual, there are things I do and don't like. I went into this second novel very apprehensive. The previous novel, Lady Midnight, ended with the introduction of a trope that I absolutely fucking loathe. I need to make this person not love me or fall out of love with me, so I'm gonna fake date this other person and not tell the other person how I feel, and miscommunication, lack of communication kind of trope. I realize that's actually probably several tropes all smooshed into one, but let me just say there are not enough words in the English language to tell you how much I hate this trope. That being said, it was done better than I expected. Did I like it? Fuck no. But the way in which Claire handled the trope and addressed it to the point of basically quasi-wrapping it up made it at least tolerable. I could deal with it. In terms of characters, Emma is proving a far weaker protagonist than I would have wished. I honestly believe that Claire peaked with Tessa Gray in the Infernal Devices series, and her other female leads for me just don't hold a candle to what was done there. I will say, however, Emma's parabatai, Julian, is such a strong character. He's well written, well developed, and well motivated. This is a teenage boy who had to grow up fast and early, who has been both father, brother, and institute head since he was far too young to be doing any of that. Do I just want peace and happiness for this boy? You bet your ass I do. I care about this poor autistic child more than I do his companion, who's technically our protagonist. But I think that in liking Julian, I do find myself a little more warmed to Emma. Seeing her through his eyes gives me a different perspective on her as a character. Do I think it makes Emma a stronger character as a result? Absolutely not. But it definitely makes constantly having to read her a lot easier and a little better. Speaking of characters, let's talk about some of the other characters we got here, because there are a lot of characters in this book. So many children, so little time. I will say one of the best additions to the cast was little Kit, our lost Herondale. He's definitely the outsider and offers, again, a good, or at least different perspective on everything that's going on in the Los Angeles Institute. But what's best is his relationship with Ty. Like, them running around as Sherlock and Watson, just... my heart. It's just so sweet and so pure. Oh my god. I also appreciate how the introduction of Kit allows for some understanding into the sharp divide between the world of the Shadowhunters and the mundane world, especially as it pertains to health and medicine. Like, for example, Ty is just seen as like odd to his family, and to the other people in the Shadowhunter world, they're just like, something's a little off with that kid, we don't know. And Kit sees him and immediately is like, oh, he's on the autism spectrum. Like, it's not even a question to Kit, and he's like, there's nothing wrong with him, he's just autistic. To him, it's something that's common in the mundane world, and yet the Shadowhunters have no perspective on this because they've never embraced modern, or what they would call mundane, medicine. I kind of like seeing how it basically takes the Shadowhunters down a notch. Like, they're always kind of held up as being superior to everybody else, and they certainly have that attitude, but it's like, you can't even embrace modern medicine and modern psychology, and it's sort of like, you're still kind of living in the Dark Ages for part of, like, your entire cultural existence and sphere. I mean, it does kind of make sense. In their mind, they've just been like, well, if we can heal wounds with an Iratse rune, why would we bother with mundane medicine? In this case, they're really missing out on some important shit. There's a lot of fairies. It was made pretty clear with Lady Midnight that the Fae were going to be playing a large role in this trilogy, and I was not necessarily the most excited about it. I've said it many times, I'm not a huge fan of fairies. It's not so much that I hate them, it's just I get bored by them. I don't really care. I kind of see the same thing over and over again, and most of the time they just irritate the fuck out of me. And I'm not gonna deny, the massive portion of this book that's devoted to them traveling through fairy is the weakest part of the book. So many fairies, so many stupid fucking decisions. I cannot get over how blindingly moronic the decisions made by the characters in Fairy were. I mean, we were on a level of abject stupidity I don't think I've ever seen in a Cassandra Clare book before. Or if I have, I've blocked it out. Not only were the decisions poor, but many of the twist moments were wholly predictable. I never found myself surprised by things that happened, and I wish that some of the more dramatic moments had hit harder, but the heavy-handed foreshadowing for them and the ridiculousness of the entire venture just kind of killed that. But I will say, Thanks to all that time in Fairy and our interaction with fairies, I have a new ship. Not only do I have a new ship, I am captaining this ship, and I will go down with this ship, and if anything happens to this ship, I will absolutely lose my shit. I will forever be on this Diana Gwyn love boat, and you cannot stop me. I mean, from their first interaction, I was on board and ready to go, and their entire dynamic is one that I just love. I think perhaps it has something to do with them being older characters. They're adults, and so have like different priorities, and when something important happens, they're like, okay, we can't like sit here and chat about our feelings because, oh my god, that's this blight thing we're trying to figure out and we gotta go deal with that, and we got stuff to do. Like, we'll like, you know, catch up and deal with this later, but like right now we got shit to do. God, I appreciate that. Adults behaving like adults. Oh my god. There's no major angst over their relationship. Like, nothing. Not even when Diana's big secret is revealed. And let me say, I think that was handled in a very clever way. Again, tying back to the whole Shadowhunters are basically in the Dark Ages as it pertains to like mental health, sexuality, and everything else. And I was of course even more pleased by Gwyn's non-reaction to it. And of course this makes sense. He's a fae. Why would we hold him to our human standards as it pertains to how he perceives those he wishes to take as a lover or companion? He's not human. Why put human standards to him? And of course, that ending. I won't go into any spoilers about the ending, but I did read that Cassandra Clare suffered the passing of her stepfather during the writing of Lord of Shadows. My sincerest condolences. And that pain really shows in the finale. Although it was clearly something that was planned for a while, the raw emotion with which she wrote that ending, it was like having a hole of grief punched through my heart. I felt everything. And I think that was the moment when realizing I really cared about these characters no matter how much they frustrated me, that I knew I had to rate this book higher than I did Lady Midnight. Those high points and the emotional impact of some scenes were brighter and stronger than the previous, even if it still suffers a lot of the same problems, and even though there are many things with which I'm either apathetic or ambivalent towards, or just completely annoyed at. Also, yeah, it could have been several hundred pages shorter. This didn't need to clock in at like 700 something pages. It's not perfect, but it's crack. And when Cassandra Clare does good crack, it's good crack. Thanks for watching me ramble today. If you'd like to see more from me, go ahead and click that button with my face on it. It'll take you to my channel where I ramble about a whole lot of different things. Got some thoughts of your own? Go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And make sure that if you want to see more ramblings from me, you click that little subscribe button. That's it for me today, you guys, so until next time, cheers.